Chapter 556, Capture the Holy Source. This chapter is updated by Novels.pl. Zhang Yuoquan's legs sank, but he regained his footing. An icing air gushed out from his feet, turning seawater into thick ice. Standing on the ice, Zhang Yuoquan held his aching chest with one hand and stared at King Jinhuang. The iron pillar is too powerful. No one can go against it. The iron pillar was shaking, and it sent out a shockwave with such tremendous force. If it falls down, I'm afraid all saints will be killed. During the blow, a shockwave from the pillar broke throughout the defense of Sarira, hitting Zhang Yuoquan and wounding him. At this moment, Zhang Yuoquan's clothes were painted with blood stains. Even his hair was dripping with blood. However, Zhang Yuoquan could see that King Jinhuang was not capable of controlling the iron pillar. The pillar has the potential to become extremely powerful, but it needed a lot of holy qi to activate it. Due to King Jinhuang's limited cultivation, he could only exert a small percentage of the iron pillar's full strength. Unfortunately, even the little bit of power that was exerted was almost strong enough to kill Zhang Yuoquan. King Jinhuang, whose body was as dark as charcoal, was majestically floating. He stared at Zhang Yuoquan and shouted, "I have the pillar of the vicious sea. Even if 10 half-saints come here, they will not be able to beat me. You are a young boy with limited cultivation. How dare you to fight against me?" Zhang Yuoquan mobilized the Buddhist spirit of the Sarira to suppress his injury temporarily. He said fearlessly, "King Jinhuang, if the death qi had not invaded you, you could have relied on your cultivation and rich fighting experience. You could defeat me. Even with the help of Buddhist emperors Sarira, I would not be a worthy opponent for you. However, you have been invaded by evil qi, and now you are only a puppet controlled by an evil weapon. It will be easy for me to beat you." King Jinhuang laughed. "Are you kidding? I have the help of Pillar of the Vicious Sea. Am I still not good enough to fight you?" "Yes," Zhang Yuoquan said loudly. Then, he put the yin-yang wooden graph in his left hand and started injecting Buddha spirit into it. Suddenly, space inscriptions on the surface of the scroll lit up with glowing white light. Even the pattern in the center of the scroll gradually came to life. At first, a golden leaf stretched out from the scroll. Then, a branch followed the leaf, and an over 33-meter golden treasure tree grew out of the surface of the scroll. The yin-yang wooden graph did contain not only an internal space but also a space treasure that was refined by Saint Monk Zumi, who had solid defensive and attacking skills. In the past, Zhang Yuoquan's cultivations were too weak to manifest the real power of yin-yang wooden graph. It is useless. Any weapons will be vulnerable compared with the Pillar of the Vicious Sea. Bang! King Jinhuang's hands clapped on the iron pillar. The pillar shook again and gushed out a layer of strength, which became tidewater that struck towards Zhang Yuoquan. The attack was more powerful than any of the previous attacks. Zhang Yuoquan grasped the yin-yang wooden graph and started to control the 33-meter golden treasure tree. He jerked the tree forward to disperse the power of the iron pillar quickly. How did this happen? King Jinhuang's face changed. "You are using the power of the evil weapon. Why can't I make use of the power of the divine tree?" Zhang Yuoquan exerted divine dragon transformation, summoning a dragon that was over 33 meters long. The dragon stretched out its paw, grabbed the treasure tree, passed through layers of death qi, before appearing right above King Jinhuang. Swoosh! The golden treasure tree swept forward and scattered all the evil qi of the iron pillar. At the same time, the golden dragon spat out a fist-sized dragon pearl. Phew! The pearl turned into a golden light shuttle that struck King Jinhuang and pushed him back flying. The power of the dragon pearl was so strong that one strike was enough to push King Jinhuang's chest downward. King Jinhuang spat out black blood and fell into the Xixuan Sea. Ouch! The golden dragon let out a cry and rushed into the sea. Soon after, it found King Jinhuang and struck him with its claw. King Jinhuang's armor was smashed, and lines of bloody wounds appeared on his body. Then, the golden dragon's body shrunk to become a human figure again. Zhang Yuoquan rushed forward, grabbed King Jinhuang by the neck, dragged him to a small island, and suppressed King Jinhuang with the golden treasure tree. Zhang Yuoquan used his right hand to hold down King Jinhuang's shoulder. With his left hand, He curled his fingers into a claw shape and struck between King Jinhuang's eyebrows. Swoosh! Under the attack of Zhang Yuochen, King Jinhuang's chi has torn apart and a breach formed. Zhang Yuochen's hand reached into the center of King Jinhuang's eyebrows, grasped the Xuanwu holy source in his chi and took it out. The Xuanwu holy source was as bright as a gem and was shining with the dazzling light. However, after looking closely, one could see black lines on the surface of the Xuanwu holy source, indicating that it contained some death chi, making people feel somewhat repulsed. When Zhang Yuochen held the holy source in his hand, a stream of murderous, greedy, insidious and negative emotions filled him. In a flash, Zhang Yuochen's eyes turned gray. His expressions would change, sometimes gloomy, sometimes greedy, or sometimes even murderous. Zhang Yuochen, you will fall into evil. Wake up at once. A dignified and cold voice slapped Zhang Yuochen in the face, causing Zhang Yuochen to shudder. Then, Zhang Yuochen felt a stream of holy chi coming from his vest, rushing into his meridians, pouring into his chi, and expelled negative emotions in his mind. Swoosh! A wisp of black gas was released from Zhang Yuochen's head. In a flash, Zhang Yuochen woke up and immediately threw the holy source on the ground. Crash! Crash! The sound of corrosion was heard immediately. The majority of the island's mud turned black instantly. Zhang Yuochen looked at his palm, where a faint black mark remained. He only felt cold all over his body. Frightened, he breathed out a sigh of relief. What a terrible evil chi that was! It almost made me lose consciousness. King Jinhuang have developed a strong will after experiencing countless bloody battles on the battlefield of primitive world. He has a rock-solid will and has encountered life-death situations. The king, who has half-saint class cultivation, even had the power of the iron pillar with him. Even with all of that, he is still unable to bear the evil chi on the Xuanwu holy source. For a young fellow like me, it is almost a given that I could not resist its command. A deep voice came from behind him. Zhang Yuochen turned around and saw King Jinhuang standing behind him with a trace of holy blood dripping from his mouth. It was obvious that King Jinhuang was seriously injured. Zhang Yuochen bowed and said, "Predecessor, thank you for your help. Without your help, I'm afraid I would be an evil slave now." After being taken out the Xuanwu holy source, King Jinhuang's will was able to suppress evil chi. He was fully conscious. It was King Jinhuang who had awakened Zhang Yuochen. Your kindness and hatred have been distinguished. It's no wonder that you can become a descendant of Buddha Emperor. As expected, those men in powerful saint families cannot compare with you. King Jinhuang stared at Zhang Yuochen with a look of appreciation and smiled. You do not have to thank me. I have to thank you. Thanks to your help, I can maintain my reputation. King Jinhuang fought for mankind in the battlefield of primitive world, made numerous military achievements, and opened up vast territories of the primitive world. He deserved to be a cautious and conscientious general. If he was really controlled by the evil chi and turned into an evil slave, he could have ruined his reputation and brought trouble to his family. Regardless, Zhang Yuochen saved him. He owed Zhang Yuochen a huge favor. Zhang Yuochen stared at the holy source on the ground and hurriedly asked, "Predecessor, how could the holy source have such evil power?" King Jinhuang's eyes were also fixed on the holy source on the ground. He squinted his eyes, shook his head and sighed. The Xuanwu holy source has no evil power, but the pillar of the vicious sea is a monstrously evil thing. It suppresses the body of Xuanwu in the bottom of the water for many years. As a result, it corroded the Xuanwu holy source. When I got the holy source, I did not know that evil chi had corrupted it. After refining it, my will was affected by it. Later, my greed grew stronger and stronger. After taking the pillar of the vicious sea, the evil chi in my body became more and more intense. Finally, I walked on a road of no return. King Jinhuang asked, "Boy, you already have the Buddha Emperor relic. How could you be so greedy that you fought so hard to capture the Xuanwu holy source?" Zhang Yuochen said, "I want to use it to save people. I am afraid it is too late." King Jinhuang wrinkled his eyebrows and said, "I was the first one to find the holy source, so the holy source is rightfully mine. However, since you saved me, I can give it to you." "Predecessor, why would you want to return the favor this early?" asked Zhang Yuochen. King Jinhuang was slightly embarrassed, but he still said with awe, The truth is, that's what I should have said, but what I wanted to say was, I saved you at first and gave you the holy source, so we are even now. In a different scenario, Zhang Yuochen might have argued with King Jinhuang because he would never let King Jinhuang return the favor to him that easily. After all, Zhang Yuochen had the chance to kill him before, but he only chose to extract the holy source without hurting King Jinhuang. At the moment, however, Zhang Yuochen had no time to talk about this because he still had more important things to do. Zhang Yuochen held the yin-yang wooden graph, crouched down and wrapped the holy source in the scroll. Then, he gently unfolded the scroll and laid it flat on the ground. Swoosh! Zhang Yuochen sat on the ground and mobilized Buddha's spirit. He released a golden Buddha pillar with both hands, injecting it into the yin-yang wooden graph. Relying on the special powers of the yin-yang wooden graph, he started to refine the evil qi in the Xuan Wu holy source. He can only give the Xuan Wu holy source to Huang Yanshan after he has refined the evil qi.